So I will continuously bang the drum that Brexit has done nothing but harmed the UK as a whole, especially when it comes to our trade. Something which the Brexiteers are always seeming to bang on about how important Brexit was to improve the trade and exports and even level up the country. Well, the biggest problem we've often found with Brexiteers is that Brexit was about trade until it's not about trade. It's about sovereignty, and then it's not about sovereignty. It's about something else. Brexiteers are infamous for moving the goalposts. But, as we always said, wait until Brexit happens, my friends. Then we will start to see the numbers. And the numbers are coming in thick and fast. We already saw the Chamber of Commerce for the UK come out and say that still vast majorities of its members are still cannot export to Europe as easily as they once could and are now having to lessen those exports. You may remember just a couple of weeks ago now, we went over one of the economists who said that the best worst case scenario for Brexit, so this is the best worst case scenario for Brexit. Less exports means less investment, means less jobs, means a smaller economy. That is the best worst case scenario for Brexit. And a lot of the Brexiteers have really been trying to hit home the fact, oh, don't worry, we'll go and do these fantastic trade deals with the quote the world, and we'll join the TTP, even though again it is not going to overall improve our economy. We've looked at these trade deals, and time again, they are bad because they are being rushed through as fast as possible to try and justify Brexit. And that's not me saying that. That was the Australian trade ministers saying that in response to recent allegations made by Liz Truss about trying to put him in an uncomfortable chair. And guess what? We got more numbers to tell you today. And once again, you won't be surprised to find out that they are very bad. But before we jump into those, please do remember to hit that like, share and subscribe buttons. And also down below there is a link to my Patreon page, as well as a one-off donation link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can, well, buy me a coffee. And thank you very much to all those people who do support me that way. So, this comes from the Evening Standard. The title is, Brexit has cost the UK nearly 16 billion in trade of goods since 2016, since the 2016 referendum. 16 billion in trade goods. So Brexit has delivered a blow of nearly 16 billion to the UK's trade since the 2016 referendum, leading experts have said today. The Centre for European Reform estimates that leaving the single market and customs union at the end of December in 2020 had reduced UK trade by 7.7 billion, or 11% in March. Furthermore, this was on top of an 8 billion. Furthermore, this was on top of an 8 billion or 10% hit to trade between the June 2016 referendum and quitting the single market, a period which saw a significant fall in the value of the sterling. The think tank's analysis is based on creating a doppelganger for the UK in trade goods, using data from a group of other similar countries to estimate what would have happened if Britain had stayed in the single market this year. And they are comparing that to what has actually happened. It does not believe the coronavirus has significantly affected its model, as goods in trade in advanced economies has largely recovered to pre-pandemic levels this year. A similar doppelganger methodology was estimated to estimate an impact on trade goods between the in-out referendum and leaving the single market and customs union. Last month, the group estimated that trade blew up to February had been 11.5 billion. John Springfield, the CER's deputy director, said, "There are two reasons why our estimate has worsened between February and March. Trade in the countries that made up our doppelganger UK outstripped Britain's widening gap with our modelled economy that stayed within the single market and customs union." The ONS has also revised February's trade data downwards. He added, "It is important to remember that monthly trade data is volatile, so it will take several months to be certain about the effects of Brexit on the level of the UK trade goods, but it is becoming clearer that the impact cannot be dismissed as just temporary." And that's what we've been hearing constantly from so many experts up and down the UK, that this is not temporary, despite how many times Boris Johnson would love to say these are teething issues. They're not. The barriers that have been put up by us leaving the EU and the single market and customs union are here to stay. If you have to now pay to access all this new red tape, all this new stuff, those aren't going away. They are here to stay. If we seriously want to reverse some of this happening, the best way to solve it would be to rejoin the single market and customs union. And that would mean accepting alignment with EU standards and accepting various other things as well. But it would be for the good of the economy. It would be essentially becoming like Norway. Now, what is so wrong with becoming like Norway? I don't have a problem with becoming like Norway. The problem was that we suffered essentially a coup by hard right Brexiteers, and they're the ones in power now. They're the ones overseeing this. So the Brexiteers, now that since Boris Johnson came to power, have no one to blame for the downfall and for the mess that is Brexit than they are. And remember, there are still some very key dates later on happening, especially in October, where more of the checks that we are meant to be doing put in place and stuff for coming into the country. At the moment, pretty much everything's being waved through. Once those checks goes into place, that's when we'll start to see more and more problems. And these will just keep on coming and coming and coming. And like I say, we've said before, Brexit is far from over. It's always been a case of this was going to be constantly rearing its head. And remember, we're barely, 4-5 months now into Brexit properly? And things are not going well. And I want to reiterate what we said at the start, that the best worst case scenario for Brexit, less exports, less investment, leads to less jobs, leads to a smaller economy. Neither of those things, not one of those things, will be good for the UK. Because the less jobs part is certainly not going to be happy for too many people. Predominantly because, again, the Tories are ideologically driven. As far as they are concerned, this is the path they want. We know what they want. They've written about it multiple times. Britannia Unchained. There's tons of articles Jacob Rees-Mogg has written about how he would love to get rid of the Working Time Directive. And we saw in the Queen's speech, there was absolutely no mention of workers' rights being put into law in a bill. And just as we saw a couple of weeks ago where there was a mass outcry when the government were going to pull a lot of workers' rights, There was a mass outcry which forced them into a U-turn. We have to be constantly on vigil, because otherwise all these workers' rights, which we have so taken for granted for so long, will just disappear. And remember, guys, these are the Tories and the Brexiteers who said that Brexit and all this stuff would somehow make your lives better. So, as always, thanks for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share and subscribe button on your way out. And of course, down below there is a link to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link as well called Buy Me a Coffee. And as always, thank you to everyone who does support the channel in that way, even if you just click the like and share buttons. So, we'll see you next time.